I had a Buffalo Bills fan send me a text yesterday saying, best of the weekend, the Buffalo Bills. The worst of the weekend, the Buffalo Bills. It was one of those weekends there. But it did live up to what we thought, or far exceeded what we thought, because there are a lot of point spreads there. You thought Miami was going to get blown out. Seattle and San Francisco was close for a little while there. Jags and Chargers, we expected that to be close. You had the Giants against the Vikings. I would have taken the points yesterday on all three games, but then I would have taken the points on the games on Saturday as well. You know, you're trying to figure this out, handicap it, and I wondered if Buffalo was in the right state of mind, right frame of mind, where you're taking on Miami. You got DeMar Hamlin. There's a lot of different things that go into this. Minnesota Vikings, you've been told all year long you're not that good. You shouldn't be here. You're the worst 12 or 13 win team that we've had in a long, long time. Nobody's talking about the Giants. Do you believe in Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley? Is this team a good team? And to qualify for the playoffs in a tough division, and they certainly were able to do that. The Niners with Brock Purdy, well, let's see what happens when you get to the playoffs. The Jags and the Chargers. The next time I talk about the Chargers and I go, you know who I like for the Super Bowl, then you have every right to smack me. Because I'm watching and I'm gloating a little bit because I'm going, okay, all right. Yeah, this is a big deal now. This isn't just, hey, we're going to win and then move on, play Kansas City. No, they're really good. What can go wrong here? And then my friend goes, you know the history of the Chargers. I said, yes, but there's no chargering. They're not going to do it they can't do it this year. Give credit to Doug Peterson, that entire Jacksonville team, Trevor Lawrence. They were patient. So much of what happens sometimes when you get a big lead is you don't know how to handle it. You got to take time off the clock. And the Chargers weren't able to do that. They didn't run the football. And when you do a 3-and-out, Tony Dungy said it at halftime. Hey, this is what you need to do. You start the second half, you got to score. And then you got to stop them. And then you got to score. And then if you do that, now all of a sudden you've got their attention. And they certainly did that and pulled off one of the more amazing comebacks in NFL history. Watching the Bengals against the Ravens, I would have taken the Ravens. Thought it was a slugfest, going to be a slugfest. And that was a lot of points. Bengals hold on for dear life. And now you look at I got the odds for next week's matchup. These are the early odds so far. So the Jags against Kansas City. They played earlier this year. The Jags getting 8.5 against Kansas City. The Giants against the Eagles. Played twice during the regular season. Giants getting 7 points. Bengals versus the Bills. I think this is what we hoped for, considering what happened during the regular season. But the Bengals will be at Buffalo. Bengals getting 4. And then we'll wait to see what the lines will be with if it's Dallas or it's Tampa Bay moving on. Right now, the Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites. Over-under is 45.5 for entertainment purposes only. That's according to DraftKings. All righty. We get to phone calls, best and worst of the weekend. Seton O'Connor provides us with the poll question.
Dan, why don't we just dive right into it? Worst clock management yesterday, Mike McDaniel, John Harbaugh.
I'm also going to throw in Brandon Staley with the Chargers because I don't think they managed the clock. The second half, they just kept throwing the football. Now, you can say they couldn't run the football. I got Austin Eckler, and all I heard was, Austin Eckler, he's incredible. Okay, then let's see him be incredible. Run some time off the clock. And I thought that was horrible coaching decision there, or at least philosophy there that they had. So I would throw, Mike McDaniel talked about the clock management there because he thought he had a first down. And here's the Dolphins head coach.
It was communicated to me through the upstairs, from the headset. I think I was standing by an official. I had just gotten convicted information that it was a first down. So I don't really know exactly who it was from. It was probably the first time all year that had happened. So, you try to do your best.
What the hell was that? Why so secretive? I got it upstairs, I think. I know you don't want to blame anybody, but just say, look, we had bad information there. We thought we had a first down. That's it. Yeah, see.
But that was I understand that was the one time they thought it was third down. They got bad information. Yeah. But there was 3 or 4 times just in that one drive where they had to burn a couple of timeouts because they couldn't get the play in. And then they, it was a regular problem throughout the last drive or two.
And they still had a chance to win. Skylar Thompson did not play well at all. Josh Allen, he giveth, he taketh away. It'd make me nervous, though. I've had a hard time embracing Buffalo for the bigger picture. I think that they put an awful lot on Josh Allen. Got to run the football. All of these teams, you get to this time of the year, can you run the football? Can you control the clock a little bit? Everybody gets into a shootout. You had 6 teams score at least 30 points, but it comes down to a series, a drive. Can you stop somebody? Can they stop you? And that can be the difference of moving on or being eliminated. Yes, Eden.
And Mike McDaniel's getting a lot of criticism for the end of that game, but it feels a little unfair.
I thought they did a great job.
And he did too. I mean, it's third-string quarterback against Buffalo, in Buffalo.
I thought that that defense was wonderful. And it almost emboldened the offense to, all you got to do is just score a couple touchdowns here. We can stay in this game. We're putting pressure. We're getting turnovers there. The 49ers back and forth with the Seahawks. I somehow like the Seahawks in this game. I like getting the points. And I thought, okay, halftime, yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what's the next game? And then the Jags and the Chargers. But entertaining. And I think probably exceeded what we thought was going to happen this weekend. All right. Any other poll questions there, Seton?
Well, we could pivot that actually into who had the worst weekend if we want to start negative, which is always fun to do.
We tend to do that.
Yeah. Because if you we have those 3 coaches, you throw Joey Bosa into the mix. He didn't have a great weekend.
No, he did not. I understand your frustration, but your frustration helped cost your team. And you got to get your act together. Air your grievances after you win a game, not during a game. And a referee engaging with Joey Bosa, I had a problem with that as well. Joey Bosa, the official is supposed to be neutral, not supposed to have emotions here. Bosa's upset. There should have been a penalty called, offensive lineman moved, and then he gets almost, strangled going, after the quarterback. I understand your frustration, but you got to understand you still have a game to play. And that official can't go, what'd you say, walking towards Joey Bosa. Can't do that either. That was unprofessional. Bosa throws his helmet. You obviously got to, flag him. And then that helped them with the 2-point conversion. Doesn't come down to 1 play or 2 plays as far as blame goes. There's a lot of blame to go around. And the question is going to be, with the Chargers, what do you do? Do you fire Brandon Staley after what happened? Now, I have a problem with the previous week because Mike Williams played in that game. It's a meaningless game. And then all of a sudden, he's got his injured back, and then you're going, okay. Now, you're watching the game, and you're going, well, they don't miss Mike Williams. But just that philosophy. He's a contrarian, what he does, his approach. But you don't fire somebody unless you go, I got Sean Payton who wants to take this job. Now, if I'm Sean Payton, living in Los Angeles, doing TV, this would be ideal. Because it was reported that there were 2 teams that he would be interested in, and one was the Chargers. I think the teams that he was interested in didn't have openings, and maybe the Chargers do. But if you don't have that person who you go, that's an upgrade over Brandon Staley. Plus, Chargers, they don't make these moves normally. They don't want to be paying out contracts. And, you're going to pay an awful lot for Sean Payton. An awful lot. But I would be surprised. Do you bring in Jim Harbaugh? Is that, considered an upgrade as well? Yes, Todd.
And maybe they didn't miss Mike Williams in the first half, but in the second half, when you got to eat a lot of clock, he could have played a big role in getting that clock shortened.
Yeah. Got to run the football. And if you can't run, then, the Patriots' running game when Brady was there with Belichick was their short passes. They didn't have a great running attack. They didn't have that marquee running back. But they had 3 or 4 guys who could catch the ball 2, 3, 4 yards. Kevin Falk, James White. You had that element of let's just continue to move the clock. And Chargers failed to do that. What else do we have? Yeah, Paul.
I want to go back to the Ravens-Bengals game with clock management. 1st and 10 at the Bengals 28-yard line. Hundley completes a pass to Dobbins for 11 yards for a first down. The clock stops with 1:07. 1:07 left. They have 2 timeouts. The next time the ball is snapped was at the 34-second mark. That's over 30 seconds of clock running. They huddled up. They had 2 timeouts. You're in the red zone with a backup quarterback in a playoff game and they need a touchdown. Why wouldn't you burn a timeout and say, okay, let's settle down. We got a bonus timeout here we could use. Let's make our next 3 or 4 plays and try to get this touchdown. Instead, you lose at least 2 plays, offensive plays, and put Hundley in a position where now it's more of like desperation plays instead of like in control. They had to control the game and the clock.
Yes.
And that was after the Ravens burned like another minute or something where they could have taken a timeout at like 2:21 or something like that and instead let the clock run down to the 2-minute warning. And that even in the broadcasting team was like, man, this is a lot of time being eaten off the clock where they got, 1 play off in something like a minute or something. It was terrible.
I never understood that where you're watching and then they eventually, as time goes off the clock, 20 seconds, then you go, let's call a timeout. Like you would think you would go, okay, here's the scenario. Let me be 1, 2, 3 plays ahead.
Yeah, that would have been 3 plays, that 20 seconds.
Yes, but you're going, okay, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. It's almost like we're in the moment instead of you're in the moment, but think about what's going to happen after the moment and then after that moment. And you had a couple, and I understand Mike McDaniel in that crowd noise is going, probably, wait a minute, we don't have the first, and then it was like 9 seconds, you're still in the huddle, and you're going, hurry, come on, you have no, and then they don't get the playoff. Now, that play would have been blown up anyway, I think, but you had the chance, and then, the incomplete pass, but, it was wild. But, these ebbs and flows, and you're seeing teams like Cincinnati. How confident are you in Cincinnati going to Buffalo? But then how confident are you Buffalo hosting Cincinnati? Jacksonville, oh my gosh, what are they going to have left when they go to Kansas City? San Francisco's waiting for somebody. Could you imagine Brock Purdy in a 6-week span is going to beat Tom Brady twice? What about the Giants against the Eagles? Eagles had this past week off. The Giants, man, they're celebrating, dancing in the locker room in Minnesota there. Danny Dimes, Saquon. Can you carry that? That's where you're trying to handicap this. A lot of storylines, man. All of a sudden, everybody's all in on Daniel Jones. I'm like, the franchise didn't even, give him a new contract. It's not like, you believe in Daniel Jones now? Sure. But his own franchise didn't believe in him. They're like, I think we need to see another year with you. Hey, you believe in Saquon Barkley? Sure. The team didn't. They didn't extend them. Now they probably will. Does Dave Gettleman, the former Giants GM, take a victory lap at all with any of this? Like, does he get delayed credit? It's like, and by the way, Dave Gettleman, the former general manager, did a pretty good job in drafting. Yeah, Paulie.
Remember Daniel Jones, last year they did not pick up his 5th-year option. His 5th-year option for 2023 would have been $22 million under contract. That was the Giants' choice. They didn't, so now they have to go into this offseason after what he's done so far in the playoffs as a complete free agent. And you got to think he's going to be making minimum $35 million a year, right?
Probably.
What other option? And that would be a friendly contract in this day and age.
He's talented. He's just not, I wanted to see him with a good offensive line and a couple of weapons. But he can run. He can throw. You got a healthy Saquon Barkley. Right? Those are, I'd like to see those things. But the Giants didn't provide him with that until, I guess, this year.
Daniel Jones is a boss.
Danny Jones.
Question mark?
Deceptively athletic?
No, he's athletic.
Okay.
No, he's athletic.
I didn't realize it just recently, so maybe that's on me.
No, he's athletic.
Like, I always thought Danny Dimes was like sort of ironic or like tongue in cheek. It's real.
Yeah.
It's a real nickname.
Yeah.
Meant sincerely.
Yeah.